First thing I want to do is just extend on behalf of my colleagues, ministers, Premier Redford, and all Albertans, our sympathies to the families. We understand there are casualties now. The RCMP has indicated there are some. It's a horrible circumstance to lose a loved one, but especially in any sort of circumstance like this. So we just want to extend our condolences to the family. Now, I think at this point, it's pretty clear that we have probably an unprecedented situation, a disaster that is widespread, that is extensive, that is deep. We have 23 communities, or 23 communities currently that are still in a state of local emergency. We have 5 more communities that have made indications on their websites that they're in a state of local emergency, and we're continuing to work with them to make sure that they get the official documentation done and clarify that that's what they fully intend, which would take us to 28 different communities in a state of local emergency. I want to clarify that in every single one of those communities, the state or level of emergency is different. We have some that are still responding to the disaster and working on mitigating it as much as possible. We have some that are starting to work on plans for cleanup and reentry, and we have some that are still preparing for rising water levels downstream towards the east side of the province. That means that when you ask me some questions, the nature of the response that comes from the Provincial Operations Centre and the Government of Alberta, depending on the department, and our coordinated response is going to be very unique. We know that there is not one solution for every community, so our resources are very much stretched to partner with communities to try and make sure that they are getting all the help that they need. The emergency management is still going on, of course, you know, in the High River, which is one of the hardest hit areas and where we've identified we have some casualties. We have the military that has a presence now and is assisting with the home-to-home evacuations and making sure that people are safe in High River. They are working in Canmore. They have done an exceptional job in assisting us in Kananaskis, and we've I believe, pretty much addressed the situation going on in Kananaskis for the time being. We are also working on with the municipalities to identify when people can get back to their homes. It's still going to be a while in some communities, and in some it may be sooner. But there is not going to be one simple answer for everybody because, like I said, for all of the communities, we're in a different state at every point. The idea now is to continue where we need to work on the response to the flooding, to work on a transition to recovery. That means the cleanup and moving people back into their communities where possible, and eventually to the rebuild. And we're working now to make sure that that's as seamless and as smooth and as quick as possible. A lot of Albertans have faced disaster, the likes of which the majority of us could never imagine, and it's important and incumbent upon the provincial government and the federal government to provide assistance to municipalities and those Albertans to make sure that we mitigate that impact as much as possible. Well, our projections, I believe, have 5,000 to 6,000 cubes of water peaking sometime this evening in Medicine Hat. Yeah, and I'm pretty confident in our projections. We get our information from Environment Canada at regular intervals, which we then base the calculations on to get the river flow. We have had a slowing of rain, so it makes it easier. You know, one of the biggest challenges we had when it was consistently raining and we would have flash spots of rain here and there, it made it more difficult to make those longer term predictions. With the slowing of the rain, we're pretty confident in those numbers. But of course, there's a lot of space in between where the swell is now and when it gets to Medicine Hat. But we'll continue to update them